सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are starting chapter 19, Essentials of Meditative Life. The path before us. First of all, it is essential on our part to hold before us the spiritual ideal clearly. According to the ancient school of thought known as the Sankhya, there are only two types of entities: the Purusha or the soul, which is of the nature of pure consciousness, and the Prakriti or nature. Vedanta calls the soul of man the Atman and says that all souls are parts of an infinite, all-pervading supreme spirit called the Paramatman or Brahman. Hence, self-realization in Vedanta means God realization. Those of us who believe in the existence of the Atman or the soul and the Paramatman, the soul of our souls, aspire to have a union with Him within us and in all beings. Realization of the all-pervading divine is the goal of our spiritual life. When as students we approach the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, they place before us the ideal of self-realization. But by self-realization, they did not mean anything exclusive. They told us clearly that the more one approaches one's higher self, the more one experiences the Supreme Spirit and the more one feels He is manifest in all. And then what follows is, one feels like serving the Lord in all. But before that, one must try to follow the spiritual path through prayer and worship, get a clear conception of one's own soul and the nature of the deity who dwells in everyone. Now, since this is the ideal, the question arises, what path should we follow? And here too they place before us the twofold ideal of salvation and service. Work and worship should go hand in hand. Work is to be performed in the spirit of serving the Lord who dwells in all beings. We perform activities of various kinds, but we do not know how to do it, how to perform our duties, how to engage ourselves in various activities for our spiritual benefit. Work has to be done at first in a spirit of duty. Duty must be performed under all circumstances, and then as we advance, we feel we have to offer all the fruits of our work to the Supreme Spirit who is the presiding deity of all forms of activities. Then there comes a time when we ask, why should we work? The answer to then wells up within us, for pleasing the Lord. And there may yet come a time when we feel the divine presence permeating and interpenetrating us. Then we just become channels for the flow of divine power, the divine power that works for the good of mankind. Next section, be spiritually hungry. Just as work is to be done in the proper spirit, so also is worship to be performed in the right manner. All of us have to perform work of some kind or other. Work is compulsory. But the trouble is, worship is optional. Most of us do not feel inclined to do any worship or japa or meditation, and that is the pity of it. If we are hungry spiritually, we would like to take spiritual food. We feed our body, we should feed the body with good healthy food. We feed our mind through our studies. The ideas should be good. Similarly, we should feed the soul. How to do it? Through the practice of worship, japa, Meditation. There is a parable of Sri Ramakrishna. A child was going to bed and said, "Mummy, if I feel hungry, please wake me up." And the mother said, "I need not do that. Your hunger itself will wake you up." This is from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, published in 1974, pages 93 and 424. There comes a time in the course of the evolution of the soul when we become spiritually hungry and wake up from our age-long slumber. But then, mere waking up is not enough. We must be up and doing. I am reminded of a remarkable saying of the Holy Mother. She said, "The room may contain different kinds of foodstuff, but one must cook them. He who cooks earlier gets his meals earlier too." This is from Sri Sharada Devi, the Holy Mother, published in 1958, page 520. Many of us are lazy. We do not want to cook at the proper time. Maybe we want to cook, but late in the evening. And some are so lazy that they would rather starve than cook their food. Naturally, they cannot get much out of spiritual life and they feel miserable. What Swami Brahmananda taught. When we try to sit quietly and do some form of mental worship, some form of japa or meditation, at first we come across many obstacles. This is only natural, as Swami Brahmananda used to tell us. Here, let me do a little reading from the Eternal Companion, the book which contains the spiritual teachings of the Swami. He says, "Practice japa and meditation regularly. Do not miss even one day. The mind is like a spoiled child, always restless. Try repeatedly to steady it by fixing on the chosen ideal, and at last you will become absorbed in him. If you continue your practice for 2 or 3 years, you will begin to feel an unspeakable joy, and the mind will become steady. In the beginning, the practice of japa and meditation seems dry. It is like taking bitter medicine. You must forcibly pour the thought of God into your mind. Then, as you persist, you will be flooded with joy. What a terrible ordeal a student undergoes to pass his examination. To realize God is a far easier task. Call on Him sincerely with a tranquil heart." This is from Swami Prabhavananda, the Eternal Companion, published in 1971, page 335 to 336. The disciple to whom he was speaking said, "At times I feel that with all my struggle I am making no progress. It all seems unreal. Despair takes hold of me." The Swami gave him hope. No, there is no cause for despair. The effect of meditation is inevitable. You are bound to get results if you practice japa with devotion, or even without it, for devotion will follow. Continue your practice regularly for a little longer. You will find peace. One's health also is improved if one meditates. Meditation in the primary stage is like waging a war with the mind. With effort, the restless mind has to be brought under control and placed at the feet of the Lord. But in the beginning, take care that you do not overtax your brain. Go slowly, then gradually intensify your effort. Through regular practice, the mind will become steady and meditation will be easier. You will no longer feel any strain even while sitting for long hours in contemplation. Just as after a deep sleep, a man feels refreshed in body and mind, so will you feel refreshed after meditation, and there will follow an intense experience of happiness. The body and the mind are closely related. When the body is disturbed, the mind also becomes disturbed. Therefore, particular care must be given to the diet in order to keep the body healthy. Meditation is not such an easy matter. When you have eaten too much, the mind becomes restless. Also, unless you keep lust, anger, greed, and such are the passions under control, the mind will remain unsteady. How can you meditate with an unsteady mind? Unless you meditate, you cannot control the mind. And unless the mind is controlled, you cannot meditate. But if you think, first let me control the mind and then I shall meditate, you will never succeed. You must steady your mind and meditate at the same time. As you sit down to meditate, think of the cravings of the mind as mere dreams. See them as unreal. They can never attach themselves to the mind. Feel that you are pure. In this way, purity will gradually fill your mind. If you wish to realize God, practice the spiritual disciplines with patience and perseverance. In due course, you will be enlightened. This is again from Swami Prabhavananda, the Eternal Companion, published in 1971, pages 336 to 339. When the Supreme Being is realized, the illumined soul attains peace and blessedness and shares this peace and blessedness with his fellow beings. That is the ideal the Swami held before us, and he placed before us also the practice which we should follow with a view to realizing the ideal. Next section, early stages. As I said, when you wish to sit quietly, many types of disturbances arise in the mind. Sometimes, when you are not sitting for meditation, you may feel an amount of calmness. But the moment you sit for meditation, your mind becomes turbulent. Not only that, the body may start aching, the senses again may start running riot, and no end of wild thoughts may start arising in the mind. And japa and meditation become a great struggle. But the struggle has to be gone through. The mystics of all religions place before us the ideal of attaining, first of all, a basic minimum of purity. Purity of the body, purity of the senses, purity of the mind, and also purity of the ego. The body may be suffering from some disease, and so the different organs of the body may not coordinate or function properly. Our senses are all outgoing, eager to come in touch with the sense objects. Our mind is swayed by past impressions. And then again, there is another type of conflict in our mind. Our thinking goes one way, feeling goes another way, will goes a third way, and besides that, our ego is perverse. The ego is like a bubble, but the little bubble thinks too much of itself. It forgets the other bubbles, it forgets even the ocean and wants to grow. What happens? The bubble bursts. And this actually happens with many human beings. Now, let us not be terrified by all these troubles that appear before us. In the Bhagavad Gita, we find Arjuna complaining to the Lord. You speak of mental control, you speak of self-realization, but I find my mind is most turbulent. I cannot control it. This is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 33 and 34. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogastvaya proktas samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitim sthiram chanchalam himana krishna pramathi balavadhridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayorivasu dushkaram. The master recognized the difficulty of the student and with great sympathy and love said, yes, what you say is right, but by following the proper means, through the practice of detachment and constant meditation, this turbulent mind, which appears to be uncontrollable, can be controlled. This is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 35 and 36. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu kaunteya Vairagyena cha grihyate Asanyatatmana yogo दुष्प्राप इति मे matihi vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptumupayatah. Eventually we come in touch with the Supreme Spirit, the soul of our souls, the soul of the universe. Next section. Don't complain about the environment. Let us first of all note that we often complain too much about our environment. We really do not want to do anything except always complain about the environment. Suppose we change the environment. Well, the same complaint will be there. We do not find anywhere an ideal environment. Such a thing does not exist. You make this plea. Environment is not favorable. How can I practice meditation? Well, right here you have to practice meditation. Do you not try to sleep in the midst of the most troublesome environment? Similarly, you have to try to practice meditation whatever be the nature of the environment. How? By withdrawing yourself from all outside disturbances, just as you do before you sleep. This can be done by practice. Then again, we have our physical troubles. Maybe the body is having some trouble. Many a time we hear complaints like, Swamiji, when I sit for meditation, I get a headache. Well, for some people, meditation itself is a headache. Anyway, try to be healthy. That is why Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in the chapter on the yoga of meditation in the Gita, yoga is easy and destroys sorrow for man who is regulated and moderate in his food, recreation, work, sleep and wakefulness. This is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, which is Atma Sanyama Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, verse number 17. Yuktahara viharasya yuktacheshtasya karmasu yuktasvapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkaha. One should follow the middle path, avoiding the extremes. This gives one strength and vigor to follow the spiritual path. Next section. Train the body first. Some form of discipline is to be practiced so that our body may be trained to some extent. Then the senses are to be trained and also the mind. Not only that, the ego should also be trained. How do you train the body? Take care of your food. Avoid overeating and select the food that agrees with you and conduces to the harmony of the body. Many people think eating food is the greatest exercise for the stomach. That is not enough. Apart from eating healthy food, you must also have some exercise of all the limbs, especially some exercise of the stomach, so that your digestion, assimilation, and evacuation can be as good as possible. These are the rules, primary rules that are to be followed. Our ancient teachers said, the first duty is to take care of the body, which is the means for the pursuit of spiritual life. There's a footnote here. Sharira modyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. I see sometimes weaklings coming and saying, I want to forget my body. What body have they got? A mass of flesh and bones. Develop the body properly. You can never forget the body if it is not in a healthy condition. We'll stop here. Next time we'll begin the section Moral Discipline. This is in chapter 19, Essentials of Meditative Life. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.